Hello, this is Luke Stokes, the Managing Director for the Foundation for Interwallet Operability. I'm here with Andrew from WhiteBIT, and we're really excited to come with a fireside chat here. We're going to talk a little bit about the FIO protocol. We're going to talk a little bit about the exchange and why we're working together. So thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk about all the stuff that is connected to the FIO integration, which we at WhiteBIT really look forward to.
It's going to be fantastic. So I've been in this space for, I guess, over 8 years now. I first got involved in like 2013. I bought my first Bitcoin. I think I paid about $50 and I got 2.5 Bitcoin. And I was, pretty excited about it ever since then, as you can imagine. I'd been in the payment industry prior to that as a developer. I built an e-commerce company called FoxyCart. I worked on that for about 10 years. And then 2018, I went full-time into this space. And one of my passions through that whole 8 years has been making crypto easier, just so that everyday people can use it. The narrative of the unbanked and helping people in the world with a better financial system has always been something I've been very passionate about. And so that's why I'm currently involved in the FIO protocol and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's just been this amazing story as it's unfolded. And that's kind of how I got here. I'm curious, how did you get here? What was like your story to getting into crypto that led to where you are now?
Well, I wouldn't say that my story is, my background is as broad as yours, actually. Yeah, I grew up never hearing of anything like Bitcoin and crypto and that sort of stuff. I actually studied foreign languages at the university. And then when I graduated, I was kind of at a crossroads where to go next. I had some banking experience as well. And then I heard about this new young company that does cryptocurrencies, which is called WhiteBIT. And so I applied there and here I am. So I've been with WhiteBIT for around 1.5 years now, and it's been my gateway into crypto, actually. So basically, that's everything there is to say. I've made my way from a basically sales manager to the head of project relations department, which handles basically the communication between WhiteBIT as an exchange and our B2B customers, let's say. Yeah, so all the projects that we list, all the key players in the industry that we collaborate with, much like FIO. Yeah, because part of our vision actually is to build up our exchange, not as opposed to all other players in the industry, but working together with them by building an ecosystem. And that's actually something that I really enjoy, let's say, hearing the same you guys at FIO are doing. Yeah, because I believe your vision is also to connect and to build the ecosystem and the infrastructure.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Foundation for Interwallet Operability is all about making crypto easier so everybody can use it. And the only way to do that is to come together as an industry. And the thing that I find very interesting, when you look throughout the history of technology and you look at different opportunities for protocols to proliferate and be useful to a lot of people, they're often kind of like funded by governments or funded by, big organizations, like CERN or whatever. And we don't have that in our industry. We don't have, a mommy daddy government telling everybody what to do. We're this decentralized group of people saying, okay, if we want this usability layer, if we want to make this whole industry easier for everyday people, how are we going to come together and coordinate to do that? And that's one of the things that I'm very interested in with the kind of consortia that we have today. FIO today is a group of over, a dozen different integrated products and services, exchanges, wallets that are all following this protocol. And unlike, the HTTP protocol, which was really important, like it was a usability layer for the internet, you had a lot of adoption. But unlike that, this protocol actually has built-in economic incentives to create value for all the participants. So it's a way to kind of get everybody together, even without someone forcing them to say, hey, you guys all need to do it this way. And it's a way to just does 3 basic things. Human readable addresses. Instead of long, crazy addresses, I can just have Luke at Stokes, or I can have, Luke at WhiteBIT. And I just have a simple human readable address for what it is that I want to do with my crypto. And it doesn't matter what chain, what token, it's all the same thing. I can map it to all my addresses, and also decentralized payment requests. So I can do a request from someone, say, hey, I would like to request funds from you. And in that request structure, it tells exactly what token, what chain, and then I can even include contextual information about that transaction, saying like, this is for lunch, or we're going to split dinner, or, this is for rent. And that gives someone an experience that they're used to in a centralized world, like PayPal or Venmo. They can look at their credit card statement or their bank statement. They can see information about their transactions, context for what they're for. They can request payments from people. So I'm excited about where we're at today and where we're going. And a big part of that is partnering with companies like yourself. So I'm curious, how as someone who evaluates products in the space and looks at different opportunities for the exchange, how did you come to the decision to integrate with FIO protocol? What were the important things that you were looking for, and how is this going to impact, your users and also like your business goals and your operations? Like, how did you make the decision that FIO was right for you?
Yeah, so basically, I believe that when talking about, like, of course, we do our due diligence, we do our market research when we decide which projects to approach and then to collaborate with, yeah. And when we came across FIO, basically, it all came down to minimalizing mistakes, yeah, because as you know, like all people, we're only human and we all make mistakes. And when we're working in a financial sphere, let's say, those mistakes can be costly, as much for ourselves as for the business, as for regular users. And basically what we saw in FIO was a solution to minimize those mistakes, yeah. And as a business that is working in a financial industry, of course, we thought that it was a good idea to explore how this collaboration can move forward and what kind of solutions we can offer to our users that can actually ease their experience with exchanges. And I think you brought up a great point when you mentioned that like crypto has all those huge long addresses, and I can say from my personal experience that it was one of the things that actually scared me when I first came into crypto, because all those huge alphanumeric, I don't know, lines of symbols that I simply don't understand. You make one mistake and you send your money elsewhere, and like what to do. And I definitely can relate to a lot of people who maybe don't feel exactly the same way, given that they have already had some experience with crypto. But still, every time you input an address, you double check it 10 times. There is always this small grain of doubt that you will do something wrong and send your money to the wrong address and lose it. Yeah, and that's something that, of course, we don't want, and we want to prevent from happening as often as possible. And yeah, so that's basically what it comes down to when like approaching FIO first for the integration.
I love that, because we talked to obviously a lot of exchanges, a lot of wallets, and there's so much activity right now, especially with the markets as excited as they are.
Oh yeah, it is.
And developer time is often something that's very difficult to obtain. It's like, well, we've got 6 months of other things that you want to do. We've got NFT marketplaces and DeFi platforms, and just all these different opportunities. And so I really commend you. And I remember saying this early on with the team, just very happy that was part of your decision matrix. It's not just about, as an exchange, we're going to try to, just do our little thing and compete on our little abilities, but instead saying we're connected to a larger ecosystem. As we like to say, the rising tide raises all ships. If we actually help the industry improve, everybody gets to win that much more. And I love that, usability and kind of removing the stress. If you have a product that you give to your customers and it's like stressful for them to use and they're kind of freaking out to use it and they don't feel comfortable, and it's like, and they're like, palms are sweaty and they're checking it and they're like, I have to send a test send. Did you get it? I don't know. You got to wait for confirmations. Did you get it now? Okay, I got it. All right, now I'll do the real thing. And it's not a joyful experience. And I think anyone who understands, like, if you want to make your customer happy, you give them a joyful experience. So give them a user experience that is something that they feel comfortable about, confident about. And that is, I think, a really important thing, especially when it comes to people's finances. So related to that, have you, like, I'm curious, how often do you guys see, for example, failed deposits where somebody puts like Bitcoin Cash in a Bitcoin address, or they send Tether to on the wrong chain to the wrong account, or, they don't include a memo on EOS or Tron or something like that? Is this a frequent thing that happens in your exchange? What type of errors and issues do you see, and how often?
Yeah, all those instances that you just mentioned, they're like a pain in my heart, because each time you say that, like, somebody sent Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin address, and I'm like, yeah, I know what you mean. We get that a lot. Yeah, like regarding that, I did actually had a quick chat with our support managers yesterday while preparing for this fireside chat to get a better understanding of what are the numbers actually. Yeah, and although it doesn't happen as much with Tether, because we at WhiteBIT we support Tether on 3 different chains. Yeah, so it can be either ERC20, TRC, and Omni as well. Yeah, but it does happen really often with Ethereum and Ethereum tokens. Yeah, ERC20 tokens. So, for example, I have some numbers here for you. For December and January, so over the last 2 months, we got a total of 73 user requests where they contacted our support saying that they have made a mistake by sending their tokens to a wrong address. And this might not sound like a lot, but what's important to understand about our exchange is that we're also working with a huge network of currency exchangers in the region. And often such clients are corporate ones, yeah, who are dealing with pretty huge amounts of funds. And those 73 requests totaled in a round of, let me see, something like 1,200 Ethereum. Yeah, so that's over $600,000, I believe. And that's, that's a lot.
Wow.
And yeah, so
over $600,000 in a 2-month period, less than
right.
January is not even over yet, more than
Right.
twice more than once a day, basically. And to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And
Yeah.
it's amazing to me that there are other exchanges and wallets that have this same type of experience, but for whatever reason, they don't value their customer enough to say, hey, we should probably try to fix this, right? And I'm so happy that, you're recognizing this can't go on. As we bring in the next billion users to cryptocurrency, the hundreds of millions of people that are waiting to get into crypto, but it's just too hard, too confusing, too nerdy, too geeky, not a good experience. Like, they're coming. This is not the experience. What you just described is not the product offering we can have for them, right? And so
yes, because like in general, when we're talking about crypto, yeah, we as in people who are already into it, yeah, we talk about it as if it's something easy, yeah, because, well, actually it is, and it's supposed to be, but there are moments where it is made unnecessarily complex and complicated for a like regular user. And what we are trying to build here is actually to, how would I say, to minimize the efforts that would allow to onboard a new user who has not been familiar with crypto yet. Yeah, and I don't know, for example, when we bring a user to our exchange and they sign up, and basically here you are, we have over 150 currencies, and each of those have their own address. And you have to make sure every time that you make a deposit that all those addresses are correct. For some of them, there are memos. For some of them, there are other things. Some of them can be sent to, several currencies can be sent to one address while others can't. And, it just gets really unnecessarily complicated. And yeah, when there is a solution that can fix it, that's of course a relief, really. And as much for our, like for ourselves as a business, which helps us to bring in new users, but also for our regular developers, because, of course, we like every time we get a request from a user about a misplaced transaction, we like solve this issue individually, and each user gets the our full attention. But it does come at a cost for us, because we need to allocate some resources from our development team to revert this transaction. There are also fees associated with sending back the transaction that has been sent to a wrong address. And yeah, so sometimes solving such an issue can take up to 1 to 3 days, yeah, which, you in crypto wouldn't want, yeah. Although, yeah, it is, of course, great that such issues are addressed in general, yeah, but when you are sending an ERC20 token that is supposed to arrive to your wallet like within the next 15 minutes, and then it's stuck there for 3 days just because you typed in a wrong character, that's just not good, you know?
Oh yeah. And it's also can be really frustrating because, you know, in today's world, everything is real-time support as far as like, you'll get lit up on social
Right.
media, you know, they'll tweet about it. They're going to the Telegram, they're going to the Discord, and they'll be like, no, they took my money, you know, because a mistake was made. And it's just the ability to respond to that. And also, like you said, and we've seen this with other exchanges as well, where they talk about, you know, like a developer sprint for that week might fail because a developer has to spend time doing these recoveries, you know, for their
Right.
users. And then it's just kind of like, well, now we have opportunity costs. We're losing out opportunities to build other things, do other things. And so I love again that you guys have a vision to see that and recognize like, okay, if we get this in place, we help promote it, we get more exchanges on board, as you were saying earlier, you know, working together as an industry to coordinate, because really, I think we're providing kind of the pathway to the future for so many people. And we can do that together in a way that, you know, centralized systems can't. But in order to do that, we also have to take on a level of personal responsibility to connect with each other and say, hey, I know we're business, you know, in some situations, exchanges might be business competitors, but in another situation, they're partners against a traditional system that is failing,
Right.
a traditional system that people are wanting to leave and have something better. And if we can work together to at least, you know, coordinate on things, shared problems that we all have, then I think we can all do much, much better, and we can all win together.
And
So
that's, yeah,
go
I
ahead,
just
go ahead.
wanted to add that actually, what I believe is that integrating such like, you know, new features that really make the user experience far greater, yeah, it is actually, it can be considered as a sort of a, you know, an engine of progress, you know. For example, one or a couple of exchanges have integrated that, and the users have seen the like how easier it makes their life, and they started using this exchange. Other exchanges have seen that and started integrating it as well, and it just drives all the market players to actually thinking about new decisions, new solutions, and making new integration and making the like making it all easier. And that's, I think, like the end goal that we're all coming towards, the mass adoption, the making of crypto as accessible and as easy to understand as it is right now with the regular money, yeah, which is also pretty much complicated, yeah, but it's so much in our life that we just don't pay much attention to it, and that's what we want crypto to be. And to add to that, I just like recently I spoke to the developer team who was working on the integration of FIO protocol. I just wanted, like, before it's released, I just wanted to get some insight into how it will look and what will user experience when doing it. Yeah, and actually, somebody told me that, like, while we were integrating FIO protocol on WhiteBIT, you have launched FIO protocol on several other, like, you know, exchanges and wallets and sort of that. Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, how many let's say market players support FIO protocol right now, and like, are they mostly exchanges or wallets, or, and what are your goals in this regard? Yeah, who is your target, let's say, service or target business? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I haven't added it up late. I think it's 14. So that number changes all the time. It may even change, but it's mostly wallets with a handful of exchanges as well. I think exchanges are one of the key players in the industry right now. People move around their funds quite often using exchanges. And as you were saying earlier, some of those transfers are large value transfers. Some of those are the most stressful transfers. You know, different hedge fund managers and people like that, I've heard stories of them moving their crypto around between these different exchanges is often one of the most stressful aspects of their jobs. And so I definitely am excited to be integrating the protocol into exchanges, because again, that's kind of, you want to go where the users are. And as more people are using exchanges, you know, that's where the experience can be improved the best. On top of that would be then wallets. And really you could even extend that to be any crypto enabled endpoint. So any product or service that manages a private key on behalf of a user and then gives them an interface to interact with crypto. Those are all amazing candidates for the FIO protocol. And as far as, you know, adoption, we're up over 100,000 addresses now, and we're less than a year old. We're making great progress. And it's just like you said, it's going to come with the industry coming together to say, hey, this is important. As we increase the usability of crypto, we increase the potential onboarding for everything in the space. And so it's like, there are different things that can be done to move the meter a little bit here, a little bit there. But if you take the adoption of crypto that some say is around 1%, and you double it to 2% and double that again to 4%, it's like, that is such a massive, massive increase of users that would far surpass any other potential for increase. It's like, often I see these different exchanges and wallets and service providers, like essentially poaching customers from each other, which is kind of, to me, missing the point a little bit. It's like, you realize there's billions of people that are like waiting to use your product. They're desperate in some cases when they have hyperinflation in their native currency, or, you know, whatever the situation might be, but it's just too confusing. It's too complicated. And so helping realign the industry to think like, we can actually get so many more people involved in cryptocurrency when we can make it simple and easy. And part of that too is, I don't want to sacrifice some of the things that I believe in related to this industry, such as the self-sovereign nature of owning and storing your own value. And as much as I love the service that the exchanges provide, I often tell people, you know, you get into exchange and get out, and, you know, use them for what they're for, not your keys, not your coins. That's a very, you know, common rule number one. And I like that, you know, as much as that's true, there's also custodial services that are needed as well. And I fully recognize that. And a lot of exchanges provide a great service for that, because they have the team and the expertise to provide security and confidence at a level that maybe an individual wouldn't have. So I think there's so many different ways that we as an industry can come together and say, okay, there are a lot of people that want to get involved. How do we help them get involved in a way that they feel comfortable and confident about? So again, you know, over a dozen integrations of exchanges and wallets. We are definitely looking for exchanges that are interested in the protocol itself, not just another token listing. Because we have those conversations often where you talk to like a listing manager and they're trying to get a little kickback from some listing fee or something like that. And we're trying to say, no, hold on, we got to pause the conversation. We actually want to talk to your product officer, your product owner, and really help them recognize we're different than every other token. And once we have that conversation, then it's a whole different thing to be like, oh, wait, oh, now I get it. You're actually talking about improving our product or service. So I'm curious, like, what was your experience of first, like, hearing about FIO as you and the team kind of started diving into this decision? Like, what was the aha moment where you're like, oh, I get what this is. Yeah, we should do this.
Yeah, I just wanted to like squeeze in a couple of words about the listings. Yeah, in general. What we have actually seen, we are obviously, as an exchange, we list quite a lot of new coins every month. Yeah, and what we have seen over these past, let's say, over this past year maybe, is that listings themselves, like, they are losing value, and what is required, what coin and project teams are looking forward are more deep integrations, let's say, and deep collaboration. So if they have some kind of a feature in their network, they're looking to get it on as many exchanges as possible. Yeah, and of course, we do have the development resources to make that happen. We have a team over like 120 people at this point, I believe, and probably over 60% of them are developers. Yeah, so we can basically do some pretty complicated integrations. And if we do see that such an integration would like not be just another, you know, trophy on the wall that we put that here we have this, yeah, but will also like really improve the user experience, then basically it's all go for us. Yeah, and this was what happened to FIO actually. We have been in touch with another project who has, like, I wouldn't say a similar, but kind of similar approach as FIO, and it's called Unstoppable Domains. I don't know if you have heard about it. Yeah. But they are working with withdrawals, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and we are actually in the process of integrating them as well. And then we saw FIO, and we were like, hey, that's like, we can cover both sides, yeah, both deposits and withdrawals, and that would be just perfect. And that would be like two really great solutions for our users. And probably deposits are, yeah, I don't know, maybe you could call deposits even more important part of the user's journey towards the exchange, yeah? Because you could say that an exchange and a wallet are probably two of the most common gateways of people getting into crypto. Yeah, because where do you buy your first Bitcoin? Where do you get your first crypto? Yeah, that's an exchange, and you have to make your first deposit. And this experience actually decides your entire approach and your entire attitude to the world of crypto. And if we can make it like, you know, this flick of a finger, then obviously we want to do it. And that's how we like made an easy decision to integrate FIO. Yeah, because there wasn't much discussion there, I believe.
I love it. I love that that you have the team of developers that are available to do an integration like this, and you've got the vision to recognize the value it'll bring to your user, to your customer, to your exchange, and then also to the industry as a whole. And I do think about, like I said, I've been in this space for about 8 years, and I have a lot of friends that have been listening to me talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency since 2013. And it's been interesting the last few weeks, you know, sharing posts on Facebook and Twitter, especially with a lot of news about the rise in crypto prices with my friends, and saying, okay, you've heard me for a long time. For those who listen to me, you know, congratulations, you did well. You bought some Bitcoin. You should listen to me again about this FIO thing. Like, this is going to be the new experience that crypto people have with the FIO protocol. And it's been really cool that for whatever reason, that was the thing that a lot of my friends needed to finally get into cryptocurrency. They would go, okay, now I've got myself a wallet. Now I've set up an account. It was just that idea that in most social media platforms or most type of things, they're used to just going somewhere and creating an account. And they didn't have that concept with crypto. It was kind of like these big, crazy hashes, addresses. There wasn't like a level of personal identity, something that they could connect themselves to and see themselves in. And so like, but they're used to signing up for Venmo or PayPal, where like it makes sense. You just create an account and you've got your account. And it was so fun to see like all these, and I'm sitting there going, I know that person has been listening to me for many years, and to see them get an address and be like, sweet, I just sent you some crypto. I sent them some FIO tokens, and they're like, this is my first crypto. And they're all excited about it. And it just, it reminded me like, this really is the gateway for mass adoption. This is the mechanism that we can do by making it a joyful experience to use crypto, making it something where they can actually create an account and sign up. And again, I love that you guys see that vision and you understand that, because I do think it's really important. And so when you were like, so you mentioned Unstoppable, and also there's ENS, there's many other like wallet naming solutions. And one of the things that we often talk about is that, you know, wallet naming is it's necessary, but not sufficient. It's not enough. You know, the whole user experience of crypto involves everything leading up to sending a transaction. You know, and that's why the FIO request feature that we have, the metadata to be able to actually write a note about what the transaction's for, you know, and the ability to have a streamlined user experience regardless of what crypto token you're using or what wallet or exchange you're in. It's just a seamless experience. You know, we felt that that's really important. And that's why I got involved in the project, because it's just, wallet naming is great, but we need to do more. And that's why I'm excited about what we do with FIO protocol. And then also some other ideas we have. We've been talking about something called Simple Send, for example, where we might get these different naming conventions to work together. We might have one endpoint you could call, and you could pull up the different mappings for different protocols. So we have a lot of really interesting innovation, many things that we're going to be doing in the future with FIO protocol, such as secure multi-sig routing, because multi-sigs are hard to do, but more and more people are going to need to as they put their wealth in crypto. The ability that you can route signatures around to people just as easily as a FIO request. The ability to recover your keys, for example. We could do social key splitting. So you could take a key, your phrase, and split it up and then share it securely, because a FIO request is actually encrypted. The data is encrypted between the two people involved. So you could actually take your key, for example, and share it with different people. And then if you lose your wallet, you could actually restore your key by having, you know, calling them up and saying, hey, what was that word I sent you 3 months ago? You know, and there's so many ideas like that. FIO verified identities, for example, where you could actually know who's doing what. There's just a lot of really cool features. And my hope is that as we get more of the industry working together, we've actually structured this as well as a consortia. So lots of times people kind of gloss over the governance part of things, and they don't recognize that when you're building something like this, that's an open collaborative environment, it's important to know who's in control. And we're not like some private company trying to make a bunch of money for ourselves. We're a Cayman nonprofit as a decentralized autonomous consortia, hoping that more and more wallets and exchanges will come into the industry and actually be part of what we're doing, part of the consortia. They can be on the board of directors. They can use their tokens to vote for the chain governance. And anyway, so all of that, you know, but I'm just sharing it a little bit more with our community. So tell me more about WhiteBIT as far as like the number of users, like the size of and the types of markets that you focus on, and how do you differentiate yourself from other exchanges? I mean, there's a lot of competition today. You know, if you were to kind of sell WhiteBIT to someone to say, this is the exchange you should use, you know, what would you say?
Well, to be honest, I do not remember the entire, like the latest numbers on our user base, yeah. But I can tell you that in terms of geography, our user base mostly comes from Europe, Eastern Europe, yeah, because that's like basically the market that we are most active in, let's say. And then there's a bit of Asia and Latin America, yeah. For Asia, we are now focusing at this region in terms of yeah, I probably should start from another thing. And like when you asked like why would a user use WhiteBIT, and my reply would be that we are actually over these couple of years we have become much more than just an exchange. Yeah, we have become also an ecosystem of products. Yeah, right now we have an exchange that has available crypto to fiat and crypto to crypto transactions. So you can actually use not only crypto, but also fiat. We have currently 4 fiat currencies, and those are dollar, euro, and 2 local Eastern European currencies, which are Russian ruble and Ukrainian hryvnia. Yeah. And but apart from that, like we have built a margin terminal on our exchange where you can trade with leverage, and it's getting like updated as we speak to onboard more trading pairs, more kinds of leverage, and that sort of thing. Apart from an exchange, we also have a P2P platform, which is called Bitcoin Global. We have recently, like our independent team of developers have also opened a decentralized exchange, which is called WhiteSwap. So all of those things are interconnected in a really, let's say, easy to understand for a user way, if I may say so. Yeah, so you can just jump in at any stage. Yeah, if you're interested in DeFi, there's a WhiteSwap decentralized exchange that you can try, and it then gives you some perks while using WhiteBIT. If you're just a person who wants to buy their first Bitcoin, then there's a P2P platform that you can try and place your request on. And of course, like if you want to stake your funds and then receive some interest on top, there's staking on our exchange. So basically we just try, while analyzing the market, we're just trying to find all those you know, let's say places where there is need for more user experience, and we try to hit directly there. Yeah, so and that's that makes us kind of flexible, yeah, in this regard. So
that's fantastic. I'm actually curious about the DeFi angle, and that's great that you have, you know, all the major things that people are looking for: staking, DeFi swaps, the ability to onboard and offboard, on ramp and off ramp with fiat currency. As far as DeFi, and you know, I actually kind of like asking this question to a lot of exchanges I get to talk to, because I'm curious how they see the future unfolding. I wonder if do you see DeFi as a threat to your centralized exchange model? Do you see DeFi as the future? How do you feel about kind of the liquidity providers, the liquidity vampiring process where people are like stealing users and liquidity from others? And I'm just curious, like how big in your business strategy is the DeFi systems today? And how engaged, like, do you also have, for example, liquidity rewards for LP providers, or, you know, how is it that it fits into your current model?
Yeah, so I will be honest with you. I am not as like as an expert in the DeFi field. It feels still a bit strange to me as a person who have started my journey like in the centralized field, yeah, the centralized exchange field. But like it's a big thing, and we cannot hide from it, yeah, and we cannot actually oppose it, because it would be silly, because that goes against what I had said earlier about us being focused more on building partnership rather than competing, yeah. And yeah, what I believe is DeFi, like if we compare centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, I wouldn't put them even in the same category, because they just provide 2 really different services. Yeah, if you're looking for, you know, total how would you say, total independence and total decentralization, you can use DeFi, but that there are high trading fees, for example. If you're looking for other solutions like, you know, margin trading or fiat, for example, or some solutions that are not yet into DeFi, for example, some certain blockchains that have not been yet wrapped, as we see more often, yeah, then there are centralized exchanges. And what I see in the future is they mostly coming together in some way, because what we see is all major exchanges, no matter how centralized they are seeking their way into DeFi. And yeah, I just mentioned that we our developer team has opened our own decentralized exchange. Yeah, so that's that goes well with like my vision for it. So probably it will be some kind of a symbiosis where there are two sides of it. Yeah, you can use decentralized side for decentralized solutions and goals. Yeah, and then the centralized side that provides everything else. So yeah, basically, I believe so. What are your thoughts?
I find it very exciting in that, you know, being in the space for a while and being excited about the programmable money concept, you know, that idea that was introduced with Bitcoin, that you could take money and make it do things. And then also too, from another angle, in that I like to see more businesses and business use cases using the blockchain, using cryptocurrency to benefit people. And often I remind developers of this, you know, if your software or technology doesn't actually make someone's life better, then it didn't do anything. It didn't, if it doesn't impact a human being in some way, then what was the point, right? And so I get excited about DeFi because I feel like it is one of the few business models built on a blockchain that is decentralized, where it rewards the participants. Meaning, you know, obviously trading fees and deposit withdrawal, you know, these type of fees are valuable services that are, you know, those fees are collected because people want the service provided by the exchange. They want to go to a deep order book with lots of liquidity. They want to go where they can trust their tokens to be there during the process that they want to exchange with. And by taking it and saying, okay, this is certainly a service that people will pay for, and then coding it in such a way that the blockchain provides the service and in a more autonomous way. And now you have the ability to say, well, okay, now we have this valuable thing and we can take the fees and reward those who make it useful.
Yeah, is it really loud here?
No, it's okay.
Okay, somebody just, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. And so I get very excited about thinking that we can start building businesses directly on the blockchain in ways that they're providing real services, and they're doing so in a way that rewards those who make that possible. So it's more of kind of like a meritocratic situation where the money itself can be programmed to do things that we all agree need to be done. And again, that's kind of how we've structured Field Protocol. We try to reward all the participants. Those who are the block producers are able to collect fees. Those who are registering FIO addresses for users, we have like what's called the technology provider ID. So a portion of those fees go to those who register addresses. And again, the idea being is we want to create an incentivized model for the whole industry to come in and say, if we all participate in this, we actually make crypto easier for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great point. And yeah, I also forgot to add that before you asked about DeFi and about the liquidity, yeah. And we do, like, our decentralized exchange, it does have its own token, yeah, which is called WSE, yeah. And yeah, it is it is a means of governance. So every holder of the token has a part in voting of next stages, and it is sent as a reward to everybody who provides liquidity. Yeah. So I do believe that it will come to some sort of a symbiosis sooner or later, because I don't think centralized exchanges can just go away, because for me, they are building this, infrastructure of, companies that are, and I'm not talking about like all exchanges. I mean, like the most major exchanges that are really big market players, and they are building some kind of a, consensus of big mature companies that basically show the world that crypto is not, some sphere for criminals and money launderers, as many people unfortunately still believe. Yeah, but that it is a new market, a young and evolving market that has strong players, that has strong businesses. And I believe that without it, it will be just harder for people to embrace it. Yeah, because when they see big players, when they see big people who are standing behind this, especially when they are open to showing their face and then being transparent about who they are and what they do, that's really important to like for the establishment of the market itself. So yeah,
I completely agree. Very well said. Because as for those of who's been in the industry for a while, we're like, yeah, we're a little more comfortable with, checking into who audited the contracts for a DeFi platform, and the details and the technical levels that we go as individuals is asking way too much for most kind of boards of larger companies. They're like, no, we need something more established. We need a company that has been around for a while, that has all these different things. Yeah, I agree that it's the largest players are providing that legitimacy to the industry in such a way that the kind of traditional financial system can come in and say, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's interesting that you mentioned having a token as well for DeFi and for governance. FIO also has a token, as you're aware of, and it provides a similar service as far as the token is what you use to elect the block producers. And that just like it's called delegated proof of stake, similar to other EOS-IO type chains. And also in some ways, kind of similar to where Ethereum is going, a mechanism for the token holders to have direct say, as opposed to just the proof of work miners. Whoever pays the most on electricity or buys the most equipment gets to say, or whoever runs a full node in the case of a user initiated soft fork or something like that. The token gives direct access to those with the largest skin in the game, those who have made an investment in the protocol itself, to, in terms of wanting it to succeed and provide this service to the world, have that ability to participate in the governance. It's also, as we were talking about, a reward mechanism. So it pays those who provide services to the blockchain. So whether that's fees, whether that's more integrations, and also for actually getting the product itself. So if you want a FIO address or you want a FIO domain, you pay FIO tokens to the blockchain to register that. And there's a tokenomics sync that's kind of interesting, that those tokens and fees don't immediately get paid out to the block producers, for example, which is 85% of all the fees collected. They actually get put into 365 different buckets. So there's kind of like this sync where tokens kind of get locked up a little bit based on the increase in usage. And why that's interesting is, let's say you get a large corporation, they want to come in and register a whole lot of addresses on one day. And instead of all those tokens immediately going out to the current block producers, it goes out to whoever's going to provide service for the entire year that they registered that asset for. So if you register a FIO address, you register for a year, well, then someone has to provide block production services for that entire year for you to be able to benefit from your address, right? And so we've set this up in such a way that the reward that's collected is paid out for whichever block producer happens to provide the service over the next year, as they're voted in and out according to the token holders. So it's a really neat model, and we're continually refining it, working with the community to improve it and create a situation, hopefully, again, which is a meritocracy, where everyone who provides value to the ecosystem, everyone who participates in the ecosystem, gets to actually have the reward for the service provided. And just like exchanges are providing this service people want, we believe that usability, once people experience it, they're going to be like, wow, this is so much better. I would gladly pay a couple bucks a year, for example, to be able to have this experience. And if that's, if that continues, then there's going to be an economic engine to keep it long-term sustainable, keep new innovation happening, keeping the protocol and the products and services that integrate it, advancing together. And I think that's an important thing that we have that's different than a lot of the other solutions out there, is that they don't have a token. So they don't have a mechanism for incentivizing the participants who add value to the whole space. So I'm just really excited again for your time today. I think we've covered a lot. Is there any other main topics about WhiteBIT you wanted to discuss or share?
Oh, I believe we will have it probably would be a good time to say that, FIO protocol is coming to WhiteBIT, if you haven't guessed that yet. And we actually do have quite a lot of activities planned for the next couple of weeks, and maybe even longer. And I believe that all the users who are interested will get ample opportunity to learn more about ourselves as they participate in everything that we have in store for them. So I believe it's a good time to close this conversation. It's really been a great pleasure. I really always enjoy a talk with somebody with such a huge experience in crypto, and such a where we have also common visions for what it is and what the market is about and what it has to become, let's say. Yeah. So
excellent. And so there's going to be a lot of marketing activities, as Andrew said. There's going to be AMAs with both the WhiteBIT and FIO's telegrams. There's going to be contests on the exchange. So definitely, if you haven't already, sign up for WhiteBIT's email, follow WhiteBIT and FIO on Twitter. Anything that you need will be in the description of this video, all the links you need to be able to do that. And, you know, just be able to receive those updates for these different contests and activities we're going to be doing. And if you've watched the video till to the very end, we want to say thank you. And as a way to do that, leave a comment below with your WhiteBIT FIO address. That's your username at WhiteBIT. Within
WhiteBIT FIO, actually. Yeah.
WhiteBIT FIO, thank you. Yes.
Andrew at WhiteBIT FIO. Yeah.
WhiteBIT FIO, the domain that WhiteBIT is using when you get your FIO address on WhiteBIT, make sure to leave that user name, your FIO address name down in the comments. And in the first week of this video being published, you have a chance to win $50 in FIO tokens. And once trading begins on WhiteBIT. So very, very excited again for your time today and your enthusiasm and your understanding of the vision of what we're bringing. And like you said, sharing that story of all of those people who, you know, almost every day, more than every day, are dealing with these challenges. Hopefully we're going to make that easier, improve the whole space together. Thank you again. And thank your team for us. We're very excited about this going live and excited to use it. So take care.
Take care. Thank you.